With a recent WWE signing causing controversy and more, this is Wrestling Rambles. My name is John and you're watching the Wrestling Report. Before we move on, make sure you subscribe to Wrestling Rambles with notifications on and don't forget to like the video. Talking about winning the men's Owen Hart Cup tournament, Bryan Danielson said this after AEW Dynamite this week. It's incredible. The emotion you get with something like that, it's unlike anything else. What it means to me as a person, the pain down my arm is just a little too intense right now. Breathe, breathe, breathe. That's why I meditate. I've got these shooting pains down my arm, and sometimes it gets a little uncomfortable, but you learn to do hard things when you're uncomfortable. When I think of that, of winning the Owen Hart Memorial Tournament and what it means going to the main event of Wembley at All In, I'm proud of what I did out there. A lot of this, I'm proud of winning the Owen because Owen Hart meant so much to professional wrestling. He meant so much as far as what it means to be a father in professional wrestling, what it means to put your family first. That's what Owen Hart means. But then also, as Martha Hart was shaking my hand and giving me the trophy, we call this the Owen Hart Memorial Foundation Tournament, but I'm just as proud to shake her hand because what she's done as a mother all on her own and raised those kids and started the Owen Hart Memorial Foundation and all the good things that she's done, getting her doctorate, the people that her children have become. That's inspiring to me. That not because I can't handle it anymore, not because I'm not good enough, that because I want to be the type of parent that Martha Hart is. That's why I'm stopping full-time wrestling. But one of the things that I want to do before I go, this is important to me. This is why I'm doing this. Everybody needs a why, and this is my why. I'm not going out because I can't do this anymore. I want to show my kids and my family that I can be the best in the world, and I'm not stopping because I can't hang anymore. I'm stopping because I love my family so much. We talk about Owen Hart. Tonight, I'm talking about Martha Hart. That's the kind of parent I want to be, and that's what this represents. As an AEW debut was teased on Collision in a vignette with a man jumping through a portal. More information has been provided on this, with Ringside News writing that BodyslamNet reports that sources have confirmed the identity of the masked man, referred to as hologram, as former AAA star Aramis. He will debut under a new persona as the deal was finalized after AAA was unable to re-sign him. The outlet did not provide details on the plans or debut date for his new hacker gimmick. Going over his previous interaction with John Cena in WWE, former writer for the company, Freddie Prinze Jr. said this on his Wrestling with Freddie podcast. When I got there, John Cena did not want me there at all. And I remember the first time I met him, I was super polite, put my hand out to shake his hand. He walked right past and didn't even acknowledge me. And I think somebody said something because a few minutes later he came up and he goes, "Hey, I'm John." And he put his hand out and I shook his hand and I go, "Hey, I'm Freddie. Nice to meet you." And he goes, "Oh, I guess they'll just let anybody work here," or word to that effect. I'm not quoting the man. On X, Chris Jericho confirmed that he will be returning to CMLL for the promotion's 91st anniversary show to face Mistico on September 13th.
Mistico, tú tienes otro nombre. El príncipe de plata y oro. Pero ahorita, tú tienes nuevo segundo nombre. Tú es corazón de ratón. Yo soy corazón de león. Yo es mejor professional wrestler de todo el mundo. Yo soy mejor luchador de todos los tiempos. Y Mistico, yo te mostraré. Te reto tú, mano a mano, en la lucha. When I returned to Arena Mexico, Mistico, after 30 years, there was a reason for that. And the reason is this. All I ever hear is how Mistico is the greatest luchador of all time. How Mistico is the most popular luchador ever. But that's not true. Because 30 years ago, when Corazon de Leon was in Arena Mexico, I was the most popular luchador. I was the best luchador in the country ever. And of all the things that I've done in this business, of all the places I've been, I have to prove to you that I am better than you. It's been driving me crazy just thinking about it for years and years and years. And finally, the time came just a few weeks ago when I was able to enter Arena Mexico in secret, El Secreto, and beat the hell out of you.
When it comes to a future retirement from in-ring action in pro wrestling, Booker T mentioned this on his Hall of Fame podcast. Well, I'm never going to retire. I'm definitely going to get back in the ring at some point in time to do something, but it's going to be here in reality of wrestling or in Saudi. Speaking about the possibility of former WWE star Ricochet making the move to AEW, commentator for the promotion Jim Ross noted on his Grilling JR podcast, "I don't know if that is etched in stone or not. I would think so. I would think that he would be all hands on deck and do a great job. So I'm a fan of his work. He's a nice kid and I wish him nothing but great success." Talking about getting a more favorable distribution deal for TNA Wrestling and the current partnership with WWE Anthem Sports Group, Chief Revenue Officer Rob Kligman said this to Essentially Sports. "We both, WWE and TNA, have historical realms behind each brand. The brands both can speak for themselves and stand for themselves. Right now, the difference really is the distribution mechanism that WWE uses to push their content out versus what TNA does. Right now, we're focusing on getting that distribution even larger than it is for TNA, but that's the big differentiation point. The production is the same quality and the content is the same quality. The difference is the distribution. So that's one of the big reasons why I came on board, was to help the distribution, work with our team internally at TNA, and lock in an opportunity for the fans to see it worldwide, and that's our ultimate goal. But right now, that's where we see the differentiation point between World Wrestling Entertainment and TNA. It's simply distribution. Because when you look at the content, the production, like I said earlier, is spot on, and the content and the characters are spot on. So once we get that distribution deal, I think you're going to see a little bit more of an even keel between both organizations. That I don't know yet if TNA and WWE will collaborate over WrestleMania weekend. I think, again, the way I look at the organization and how I look at building a business is it's crawl, walk, run. It's taking those small steps and doing them really right the first time, and then mature and get to the second step and get to the next step. That's an ultimate goal, and that would be amazing. I think there's an opportunity for potentially maybe doing events in the same weekend. Finding a way to do something where we parallel the opportunity for fans to gather around and see content where they want to see it at their time, and that could be an event weekend that parallels TNA and WWE at some point. You just never know, but obviously WrestleMania is the ultimate. There is no such thing that's even bigger than that, but I think the opportunity that could exist to be part of WrestleMania would be an ultimate goal. Recalling the time he worked with Gable Steveson at WrestleMania 38, Chad Gable told Cheap Heat, "Completely transparent perspective from me. At the time, I was doing stuff with RK Bro, Randy Orton, and Matt Riddle. Me and Otis were wrestling for the tag team titles. We had a match at WrestleMania, my first WrestleMania match, when he was being introduced. My mind was on the fact that I had finally earned my spot on the show on WrestleMania. I was so proud and so happy about that, and happy for Otis. My mind was, I'm on Mania with Randy Orton. This is is great. The fact that they were bringing Steveson in and I was involved with him in his first appearance. He came in the ring after I lost, threw me around. The reality was, I wasn't upset by any of that. None of that bothered me. I looked at it from his perspective and I was imagining myself in his shoes thinking, I wouldn't want to be you right now. There is so much hype surrounding you and you haven't even started training yet. This is your debut. It's on WrestleMania. Everyone kind of wants that, but you better deliver. This is their first look at you. I was pretty confident in my character and my performance. I knew that I was going to give them what they needed and what they wanted out of me. There was no jealousy on my part because I'm like, you have a big job here to do, dude. You have big shoes to fill. I'll do my part to make you look as good as possible. I was very comfortable at the time. There was no animosity or real jealousy. I went out of my way to work as well as I could with him, welcome him, and offer whatever advice I could at the place I was at the time. Unfortunately, it didn't work out for him. Some guys, that's just how it is. You kind of have to get a taste of it to see if it's for you. It's certainly not for everybody. Amateur wrestlers are trained to do the complete opposite of what we do in WWE. Stoneface, no emotion, go do your job and get out. If you did that in WWE, you probably won't have a job very long. You have to show emotion and vulnerability. It's not to say he didn't have that, but sometimes guys just don't want to do that, or they're not willing to, or it's not natural. He's an athlete through and through, potentially one of the best heavyweights this country has ever had. He's going to be fine with whatever he chooses to do athletically. This stuff is not for everybody. It's a whole different animal. Giving her reaction to Triple H being in charge of creative in WWE, Ronda Rousey said this to CBS Sports. I think anyone's better than Vince McMahon. The only place you can go is up. I really enjoy Triple H and working with him, and honestly, I haven't been watching, but I saw something from Natty Neidhart saying that they had a card recently that had just as many women on it as the men. That's what I would really like to see. The women equally represented with not just matches on the card, but time on the show. I feel there's no place they could go but up, and I'm really happy for all the women still there and thriving under the new regime. Explaining the reason for having the AEW All Out event take place 2 weeks after the All In show, president of the company, Tony Khan, told Sports Grid, I thought it would be really an interesting thing to try. Last year, All Out followed All In. We set the record for wrestling ticket sales at Wembley Stadium. We sold 81,035 tickets in London. Then the next week, we had this sellout awesome crowd at the United Center, did a huge show. And it was an awesome night. A lot of people thought All Out was one of the best pay-per-views in AEW history. I think it's challenging for any event to follow All In so closely. It also can create the ability for me to do some things between the shows, even though I think there is some synergy to the shows and having big events and being able to link up matches and stories across the shows. There's a lot of utility to that, but I think I can do that and more by moving this show back a week. Also, with where Arthur Ashe Stadium Grand Slam AEW is falling this year, it works out where All Out is really positioned very well, a few weeks between All In and Grand Slam. Last year, a lot of people thought All Out was our best show, so I'm very excited to have a top All In and top All Out this year. With Adam Copeland jumping off the top of a cage at an AEW pay-per-view and fracturing his tibia, Hulk Hogan reacted to this, telling the Outbound Life, I watched Edge jump off the cage the other night. I haven't talked to him yet, but trained professional. Twilight of his career. Jumps off the top. Please explain that to me. He's over. Most guys who do that go up and do it because they are not over enough. Edge was over. To do that, I just don't get it. I haven't called him yet. I was going to call him last night, but I fell asleep. I just want to know. Please explain that to me. You're over like a son of a gun. You didn't need to do that. You didn't need to go up there. If you're going to go up there, it doesn't mean anything unless you do something better than Mick Foley did. Mick Foley got thrown off the top of the cage and hit the table. If you're going to beat Mick Foley, you have to get thrown off the top of the cage with no table. I just didn't get it. It didn't mean anything because Edge was so over. So over. He didn't need that. Advocating for another all-women's premium live event to take place in WWE, Bayley said this to Cody Rhodes on What Do You Want to Talk About? Yes, why not? Like we were just saying, there are so many women. The thing about the first one was we had so many girls from NXT, for one, which they got to showcase on a bigger stage, but they had so many women from the past. It's kind of like the first few Rumbles, a lot of women from the past, because we didn't have enough women to fill up these matches, but now we do. And I think it would be so cool to give everybody on Raw and everybody on SmackDown a part of that show. Evolution too, you can bring girls in from NXT. We just saw Jordan Grace at NXT. TNA girls, like whatever that connection is there, we can bring different girls in, and you can bring someone in from the past if they're up for it to do a little something. But we have such a stacked roster right now. It's like we can hold down a show on our own, another PLE on our own. It's been so many years where it's not like it's something we have to do every year, where we're kind of like, alright, we've seen it enough times. But I think it's time because it is a different era compared to back then. That was one of my favorite matches I've ever had on that show. As Max Caster revealed he does not want former WWE stars Mace and Mansoor in AEW after they reportedly signed with the promotion, Mansoor responded to Caster in this video.
Yo, listen. Yo, listen. We're taking Caster's spot. I can feel the resentment. He's about to be forgotten like the rhymes in his entrance. Knees weak, arms spaghetti. Entire world knows him as Bowen's Janetti. Doritos, Cheetos, Fritos. Max is sensitive because he's the smallest in his trio. He's looking for a hot act to be attached. Best wrestler alive, but can't get booked for a singles match. Just put my fries in the bag, bro.
When it comes to a return to in-ring action for AEW star Jamie Hayter, who has not wrestled for the promotion since May of last year, it was noted that Fightful Select learned that Hayter was at an AEW Dynamite show in recent months when the roster had to show up for physicals. The feeling inside the company is that there has been some positive movement towards a potential recovery for Hayter. However, we're not told where that stands as of right now, as her injury was a very serious one. When we asked within AEW, they did say that her appearance there was the most positive news towards a possible return that they'd heard since she's been sidelined, even though numerous talent who were off TV had to show up for those physicals. Apparently, the recent signing of Stephanie Vaquer to WWE has upset CMLL and New Japan, as she used to work for them. This was said on Wrestling Observer Radio regarding the situation. When she told them, CMLL, they basically asked her and said, you know, we won't stand in your way or anything like that. If you want to go, you can go. But just do business the right way. She's got the tag titles in CMLL. She's got the CMLL singles title. And it was basically go to San Jose, where she's been advertised for months, and drop the title there, drop the tag title. We'll do a farewell. And the feeling was that they expected that of her and basically told her, look, they want you, WWE, and they may not want you to do that, but you haven't signed yet, so you can just tell them, I want to go out the right way. Then on Monday, when she signed, she told them that Tuesday, which was last night in Guadalajara, July 9th, was her last night, and she wouldn't be coming to Arena Mexico on Friday. She wouldn't do any of the dates. She's got dates all over the world. The idea was to come to San Jose and drop the title, and she didn't do that. CMLL was very upset over her, you know, because of what happened, and also they had never been targeted in this way by WWE. New Japan was very upset because when they first announced the show in San Jose, she was in the first batch of people announced, and they have been advertised for months. It's kind of like their basic thing in, you've been advertised for months for this show in a championship match, and then 5 days before the show you pull out and you're the champion. AEW wasn't happy because they did want her and they made an offer to her, but she went with WWE. That's the place she wanted to go, but how it happened was not well received. And this was your pro wrestling news update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see y'all later.